my keeper hat on too, or my Gilligan hat. I'm not sure which one it is, but we're live. Hey, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
It's me, Wally. Everybody's been super. Oh, and Wally's here. Good. Wally's in the chat. Perfect. Welcome to the show, Wally. Frank the Tank. I knew he'd be here. Frank usually only shows up when it's Wally or Russ. So we appreciate it. We got Faith Fritz. We got 503. We got Victor. We got Green Jedi Monkey, or GDM, as I just started calling him. Who else is in here? Somebody named Jennifer that I may or may not know. I'm in here. I think that's everybody. No, it's not. Don got to show up tonight because he was not ready to go to work. Tonight, guys, we have a special show. I hope we didn't overhype it. So Wally's here. We're going to talk kind of controversial topic, but we're going to keep it really friendly because that's who we are. Wally's a longtime friend of mine and the show now. I can say long time. It's been like 2 years almost.
It seems like 10 minutes. Time flies.
It does, right? I don't know where it all went, Wally. Where did that 2 years go?
You blinked and it's gone.
It is. So, yeah, I wanted to have Wally on for this very special topic because it's just two different philosophies, and I think Wally does his side of it really, really well, and I am a real poser at mine. So, can you see? Can you see the Castle Grayskull up there?
Oh, very cool.
Can you see?
Wow.
Lego. That's not for isopods. That's just my Mega Bloks display.
This is like Seinfeld, you know, where he had Superman.
Yes.
So you have to show that every single show that you do.
The Castle Grayskull, I definitely will. There's going to be more on that. There's going to be more on that Thursday. So my Patreons will get a sneak peek. Both of my Patreons. Wesley, I'm not sure if it's Scott Wesley or not. I'm not sure if they're in the audience. Someone named Wesley. Kane the Outcast is here, Josh Kane. And 503 Menagerie, my two Patreons. God bless you. Bless you both. So first things first, guys. I know some of you are here. We'll get this out of the way. The taste test. I saw this horrid thing on my way out of Walmart. And I think this should be Walmart's official drink because it's like liquid Walmart is what I think this is. So this is a new Mountain Dew flavor. It is flamin' hot. It is, you can't really read it there, but it says, now I need my glasses again. It's supposed to be some kind of spicy. I'm guessing chili flavor. Mountain Dew with a blast of heat and citrus. So.
And you're going to try this.
I've never touched this before. I haven't opened it. You're going to get the smell, just like that mystery flavor that we did. I don't know if you saw that episode, but we did a mystery flavor, and the smell was awful. It was like
I can smell it from here. It's
you will
aromatic.
Here it goes. It's up for Walmart.
This is from Walmart.
This was at Walmart. It was the only one there. It was sitting on a shelf, like not near the soda, like someone was trying to hide it or just thought against it at the last minute. Like, nah, screw this. All right, here we go.
All right.
The smell. It's a little flat already. It actually doesn't smell bad. It smells kind of like oranges and limes.
Okay.
Which is good for Mountain Dew. I don't think Mountain Dew ever tastes like or smells like actual fruit. So here we go, guys. Wish me luck. I'm going to try to finish this one, not like the vegetarian jerky.
Green Jedi Monkey says, don't the dew.
It doesn't really taste like anything.
Survey says
it tastes like fruit. It tastes like kind of like a fruit punch. Oh, there's a little heat back there. Okay, there's a little heat in my throat. So there's something in here. I didn't taste it in my mouth, but I'm getting heat now. It's weird. It's definitely weird, but the initial taste is not bad, honest to God. I'm not messing with you guys. You guys know you get my full reaction. This is not a bad taste.
So this was
I thought it was going to. This was at Walmart. I don't know if it's exclusive, but I haven't seen it anywhere else. I got to wash it down.
Oh my God.
We got to wash it down a little bit. So I'm addicted.
You're not eating that stuff, are you?
I mean, with a spoon.
That doesn't even look good. How does that taste?
It's got vitamins.
You know, I just noticed I have a package here as well. I was doing some labeling today.
Are you going to try the new one?
I don't. Well, this
is that the beefy one?
This is the original. It's not the beef.
So is mine. Original flavor. Oh, gee.
I don't want to do this. So I was just thinking with that, what is it? Mountain Dew. What was it called? Fiery, spicy.
Mountain Dew, flaming hot. Flaming hot.
Lava, thermonuclear. I think they need a spokesman. And now that Will Smith doesn't have a job, maybe Will Smith, when the heat is on, this is what
Too soon.
Cool you down.
This is rock slapping delicious. Let me just say.
When you feel like bee slapping somebody, get that dew out your mouth. Okay.
I didn't know I was going to go hard on Will Smith tonight, but I'm down. I'm down.
Right. So this is how much an influencer you are. This is how much of an influencer you are.
I'm sorry to everyone who's
I'm
influenced by
going to
me.
try this. Does anybody want me to stop doing this? Please say stop in the comments.
Nobody said anything.
Wally, stop. Please, somebody.
Victor asked if I could overhype this. Yeah, I think I could.
Bueller. No, nobody's saying stop. All right. I'm delaying the inevitable.
Frank said they actually give him reminders. All right, here we go. That's a big spoon.
I don't want to do this.
Oh, drum roll.
This is really good.
It's the secret sauce. I'm going to finish this bag before the show's over. Where did it go? Oh, it's right here.
You're a jerk for making me do this.
I'm a jerk anyway, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that he put a thing on it, like a prerequisite.
You know, I got to tell you, this ain't half bad.
The comments keep flying in, and I keep. We had 11 people here today.
This is not bad.
So what? Okay.
I think it would go great, like on ice cream.
I think it's time for our disclaimer, so no one else tries this by the spoonful.
Wait. I have to wash it down.
Oh God, what is this? What is that?
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. Okay.
Anybody watching the show, points if you know what this is a reference for.
I hope it's not a reference for Russia. Wally?
It is not a promotion nor a sponsor. This is one of my favorite movies. My 16-year-old juvenile self, one of my favorite movies. Anyone know the movie?
Chernobyl? I don't.
Chernobyl tastes like.
I don't. Have you had it before?
Never.
Is that an energy drink? Are you going to be up till like 3 o'clock tomorrow?
Well, it's got everything in it. It's thermonuclear. So.
Oh, Chernobyl is in Ukraine. Okay, never mind. I did read that. I did see that. I didn't know that before the war, but I'm going to snort a line. Crap, Biggs is here.
No. I don't do that no more.
No, he said I'm going to no more.
Wally
was hardcore. Wally was hardcore back in the day. You guys don't know.
But hold on.
Isopods are crack. They are like crack. So I got you.
Right.
Meanwhile, back in the show. So full disclosure, I filled this bag with brown sugar. So I'm just eating brown sugar. Just so.
I didn't know that. We were supposed to. You are a jerk. So
yeah.
You changed out your isopod chow?
Yeah, I just flushed it. No, I finished this bag, remember? And I had to get that new one from you at the show. I'm literally just eating brown sugar.
Eating brown sugar. I feel like I'm spitting.
You're just dead.
Cream isopod chow all over my computer.
You're still going with it. That's good.
Good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Victor says, Nanette's going to kiss him and what? Did it come up? It didn't come up.
Faith says, please stop.
Why do you smell like iso chow? Yeah, she knows. I see in Wally's basement, there's probably like a bicycle thing, a stationary bicycle set up to a grinder, and then that's got to go on it while Wally's dumping ingredients in this big mixer bowl.
More chow.
All his videos where there's actual work being done, it's Nanette. Do you guys ever notice that?
Because Nanette does all the work.
Okay, fair. Props, because I know that Biggs is in the doghouse with his wife over that post that he posted. So
what did he
Biggs
do
posted a meme of men at home alone and women at home alone, and the woman is on the bed like sacked out Netflixing, and the man is like, he's got a vacuum in one hand and a duster under his shoulder, and I don't know how she didn't kill him. So okay,
nobody got Chernobyl. So okay, I'm going to leave this up there. Anybody in your comments after this live, if they watch the video, somebody needs to tell me what Chernobyl is in your comments.
I feel people Googling it right now just so they can win something or just win your respect for knowing it.
Speaking of winning something, let me do this.
Oh,
if you don't mind, a shameless plug.
This was not planned, y'all.
This was not planned. So, SupremeGecko, Supreme Isopods now has bee pollen.
Oh, shut up.
And springtail chow. Is that cool, springtail?
What do you know? It is a pretty cool springtail.
So anybody that can guess what Chernobyl, what movie that's from, I'll send you over. I'll send you both of them. How's that?
Okay. All right. Are those your show price stickers on there, or is that like the price on the website too?
I left them. No, I think that's the price.
Okay. I mean, I don't know.
Price, but
everybody's getting into springtails real hard right now. Springtails are like the new isopod.
Jennifer, no.
But Jennifer, no. Strange Brew? No?
Not Strange Brew.
Are we close?
No.
I was going to say Stripes, but I think that's wrong too.
That's wrong.
Stripes is one of the best movies from our childhood. So
Stripes has so many quotable sayings in it. Quotable quotes.
Every Bill Murray movie has quotable.
Whenever something goes wrong in my life, I sit back and go, and then depression set in.
So, meanwhile, let's try to get this back on the rails. Like I have Biggs on tonight. This is crazy.
Bioactivity. Got it.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Done. Well done.
That is not an old movie.
That's not an old movie. 10 years old, maybe? 11, 12? Maybe?
I haven't seen it, and it's sad because I love everyone in that movie. I love every actor in that movie.
Yes. And again, quotable lines all over the place in that.
I got to check that out. I want to see that. So I've been trying to find, I can't even think of the name of it. Streets of Fire, I think, with Willem Dafoe.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen it, and I heard it was on Netflix, and I can't find it. So if anybody knows what stream it's on, let me know. I have no power here. Yeah, Biggs is right. I have no power here. Yeah. Yeah, it's not that old. Vico Bubbles is here. Back and healthy. Okay. So keepers versus, not versus, but keepers versus collectors.
Okay, I have to do something real quick, though. So I was told that I am not the Podfather. So the person that mentioned it mentioned somebody else, and I'm not going to go into all that, but I feel like right now I have to take the shirt off because I don't feel like the Podfather tonight.
Oh, no.
Let's see if I can do this.
No. No, your hat's going to come off.
No, it's not. I'm going to do
We're going to see the top of Wally's head, which is a mystery.
The big belly of mine. Oh, my gosh. Coming off.
I'll show my belly if you show yours. I am dying to Wally's head, guys.
No.
That'll be the thumbnail. Ah, there it is. We saw some of it.
It's so close. I might just have to leave it like this.
Speaking of Walmart, yeah, just wear it like that. We saw part of Wally's top of his head, you guys. I'm so excited. Can't collect springtails because they all end up cross-contaminating anyway. Yeah, they kind of do. I think it's really hard to keep them. Toss Wally some ones. Big says we need to throw you some singles for doing a striptease right here.
Oh, yeah. If I had a
DEA
single for every time somebody said that.
DEA, the podfather that's in dispute is Chris something. I don't know. Supposedly he's responsible for like every crazy species that we have in America right now, or the original crazy species. I don't know. I personally have never heard of the guy, but that doesn't mean anything because there's a lot of people I've never heard of that are huge.
So who's the real podfather? Who said?
Ophi Spider? No, it wasn't Ophi. Ophi and I called you the podfather. I think Rick and I called you the podfather, and somebody said that somebody else was known as the podfather. And I don't remember. It was a conversation at Facebook, and I caught it scrolling, and that was the end of it.
It's all for fun. It's all good.
Yeah, it's just a title, whatever. You kind of remotely look like Brando, remotely.
Well, that was the whole thing. You know, I love The Godfather. I like isopods, combine them, and I haven't really used that name at all. I don't call myself The Godfather. Somebody else coined that and said you need to do a T-shirt, and it just took off from there. So,
yeah, well, it all does. So I like that. I like that a lot. I still need one of those T-shirts. So anyway, you guys. Now, do we have any more surprises, Wally? Or we're going to see your head, your crack? What do we got?
Excuse me? No, I said I don't do that no more.
Oh, the other crack. All right, got you.
Oh.
Don says nope. So sorry, everybody. We almost got it. We almost got it on here. Full disclosure, I don't wear pants to these whatsoever. So that's why I have to get wheels on the chair.
I'm turning it off. Just with that mental, I'm turning it off.
All right, that got about as awful as it could get. So, Wally, a collector. Josh, a keeper. Who bordered on collector? Actually, I'm recovering. I'm a recovering collector. Is that fair? I'm trying to upgrade most of my bins. Into like display tanks, more or less. Like as much display as you can really give to isopods. So the one I'm working out for the Hoffs is a true display tank that I'm super proud of. And again, the Patreon people are going to get a sneak peek tomorrow. And then Thursday, we're going to do the reveal with, oh my God, where's my brain? Cheyenne with Boots Houghton, the pod solo. So if everybody's not liking this video right now, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm disappointed. Everybody let's get a like spike going for Wally, just for Wally. Frank wants you to dance.
If you don't, I'll take one more shirt off. You better like this. I swear I'll take this shirt off if you don't like.
I kind of see another one under there, so we could go a little harder afterwards. So what I want to
this at all. Sorry, keep going. I'm done.
You're good. What I want to distinguish is that I don't think there's any wrong way technically to keep isopods. I think we touched on it when Oren was on here. Oren seems to be, he didn't come out and say it, but he seems to be of the family that like they breed and live on cocoa core. So what's the problem? That's kind of his comment that he had for millipedes, which I know are more sensitive even than isopods. And that's true. That's true. You can get results with them as long as you keep it moist and keep them fed. I know none of us here, I gamble that none of us here watching this right now are in that family. But, right? Can I say? I think I can assume that.
It's hard. I think what you have to do is you have to define the two terms.
So, I guess a keeper is someone who is more focused on keeping select species, and which I'm not yet. I need to pare down or just devote time to the species I have. They're devoted to the particular species. They're devoted to giving them the best possible enclosure that maybe mimics their where they're from. They do a little homework and see where they're from and what the conditions are like there, like keeping them heated, even ambient heat, keeping it a little warmer in that room, whatever. And then collectors would be people that are like, I'm going to lump breeders in there too, just because the style of keeping. Okay. So you have the bins, they're kept adequate. Maybe you're keeping them the best. Maybe you're keeping them the best in your bins with mosses and crazy dirt and or substrate. And you're keeping springtails in there and keeping them, this part's perfectly moist and this part, check on them twice a day. And keepers aren't, like I said, it's not wrong. There's no wrong philosophy that we're talking about here.
No.
It's just a different style. So I know that I'm jealous in particular because you have been in it so long that I'm jealous of your collection because you have organized uniform bins, whereas I have whatever the hell was on sale at Walmart when I went. I mean, at this rack next to me, there are 6 different kinds of container here with isopods in them. 7, because 8 if you count my crested gecko, who is out right now and bioactive. So 8 containers. There are, I think I have everyone represented here. Every one of my containers is represented here, except for my one bin of hot yellow vulgaris over there somewhere. That's a big bin, but that's another. It's a big bin, but it was just, hey, this bin was $4. This one looks great. I'm going to drill some holes in it. I'm going to put some of Jose Avila's vents on there, and it's going to be awesome. So, so give me the benefits. What do you see as benefits to collecting? Because I know it was like, you've admittedly said to me that like that's just not your thing, like the big display pieces for isopods. And I know you have so many species and so many specimens of like lizard and gecko and all of that it's just impossible. You couldn't keep that many display tanks going.
So I'm going to go down a kind of a different path, but the same path, maybe a parallel path.
Okay.
I get a lot of questions and comparisons on geckos. So I'll do a video and somebody will say, oh, poor geckos are in such a small enclosure and you don't have any enrichment and you're not doing this. And so my typical response is I'm a breeder. So, we can call it collectors or what was the other term? Collectors or keepers.
Yeah.
I'm a breeder of geckos as opposed to, I guess the term would be keeper.
Those are loose terms that I just came up with, so I'm not really.
Yeah, and I like those terms.
Yeah.
So I related to geckos, and I actually related even going back further to fish. When I was keeping fish, it was as many tanks as I could pile into one side of the basement, and I would work, worksheets trying to figure out how many, and started reading books and German books, and couldn't read the words. I'd look them up wherever I could, but
oh wow,
European keepers of fish and Chris Biggs can relate to this. One tank, and I think Chris is probably in this light as opposed to what I do. One tank, 2 tanks, and that's it. And they make it immaculate and display and the best for the fish and everything. Whereas I'm more of a, let me see how many I can get in, as long as I'm keeping the animals healthy, as long as everything's set up, for the benefit of the animals, but it's all for the breeding purposes. When I do fish, I have the 18 tanks here, but they're all 10s and 5s. And if somebody looked at this, they'd go, I just see fish and a couple of rocks and a cave and a few plants. They're not display at all. So I don't get into the display part. I get into the breeding. I really enjoy the breeding part of it. So I guess I would then be, what would you call me then? And I do the same with the isopods as well, and the geckos.
Yeah, I would definitely call you. I would definitely say you fall into that like collector, breeder. What was the other? I just came up with the term and it slipped right out of my brain. You were saying to not display tank. I don't know. Collector, breeder. Because you definitely have a ton of species and they are specific. Like you don't have, you keep, I've seen your videos, throughout your videos, you can see that, oh, I was into this and I was doing this really hard for a while, like leopard geckos. And then I just got out of it because it got crazy. And then now you're into your pictus. I see a lot of videos of your pictus or your other little, like small exotic, maybe not even exotic, but like rarely kept geckos. I remember seeing you at NARBC and you were after this dull gray, boring gecko that no one keeps and they're hard to find. So I would have looked at that, glanced at it and been like, $150, eat my shoe. Like that's not happening. But then you look at it and you know what you're looking at. And
I look at it and the drool starts coming down. It's like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen that animal for 15 years. Oh my gosh.
It was. I saw Wally for like
really
2
great
minutes.
animal.
Yeah, and I saw Wally for 2 minutes, and he saw this gecko and was like, "Stop talking to me. Go talk to Nanette. I got to look at this gecko." And Nanette did her classic eye roll, and then we talked for a while, so it was nice.
But that's perfect. That's a great explanation. So I think that you're on the other side. You're, I want to do the best that I can for these animals, but I also want to take the enjoyment from this whole experience and make it fun and entertaining. I don't want to do that with 125 enclosures. I want to do it with 4 or 5 or 6.
Yeah, I really am trying to get dedicated to building those big displays that I want to do this year. So at least one of them. So the Viper gecko, yeah, the cutest gecko ever. They are cute. They are cute.
I'm turning
there's a gecko
everywhere, man.
There's a gecko I had years ago that I think is cuter, even as an adult. They get mad and they have scales on their back that rattle. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Nope, no idea.
They literally rattle. They have these like hard, they look like fingernails almost, this ridge of scales on their, they're not much big. They're smaller than a leopard gecko, but they're the same kind of environment. So, and the same, like, they have the same toes. They're a gecko, but they don't have like sticky toes. They have the desert gecko toes, right?
Okay.
But when they get mad, they open their mouth and kind of hiss at you or squeak. And then this, like they rattle those scales against each other, and it stridulation is what occurs there. So, and it freaks you out. So you leave them alone. I had one for a couple of years, but I don't remember what it was. It was back in the days when you could almost get anything you wanted at a show. You get the craziest things ever. And now you only see them on Animal Planet or Serpa Design. But that was before we knew what to do with any of these things. So they were kept pretty crappily, honestly. That poor gecko was probably kept pretty crappily. I kept him well fed and watered, but I didn't know what he needed, I knew he needed heat and dry, and that was it. So
but there wasn't a lot of information out at that time on specific animals either. So
there really wasn't. And like I said, you could get anything, and you had no idea what it was. You just got it because it looked cool. And like this guy keeps it at the show, has it in a tub with nothing. It's a tub with some water. I'm going to get this. This will be the easiest thing in the world. And nope. 2 weeks later, that thing's dead. You never hear from that guy again. Never see him at a show again. Yeah, I think some people get a little extreme. I see people on some of the Facebook groups, especially, and I'll rail against this until I die. The dart frog people are the ones that are militant about it. And I think that's one of the reasons I haven't had a dart frog keeper on the show is I know that there's going to be a lot of comments and a lot of issues. No matter what that person does or who they are, there's going to be people that dump all over how they keep their dart frogs or what their philosophy is of their dart frogs.
Why is that? Why do you think that is? Because
I don't know. Go ahead.
No. I'm sorry. I generally look at dart frog keepers as being more advanced and more of the, I want to see this animal kept the best that I can, rather than packing a lot of animals into a small place. And I think that they're more in tune with the whole biotype and making sure that the plants fit the environment and the frogs and everything and the humidity.
And I respect that. I do. I want to give my animals the best care that I can give them. But at the same time, I feel like in the groups that I've been in, I've quit more dart frog groups than any other type of group ever, because I can't find one where literally you can post anything like, what do you think of my enclosure? And it looks amazing to me. And the next 30 comments are people just dumping all over it. Like, well, this is wrong. And this plant is stupid. And you're keeping this quarter of the tank too wet. And it's one of those things like with isopods or even substrate creators, they know the only way. Their way is the only way. And it's the best. And how dare you try to do something any different? And I think there's a little wiggle room with dart frogs. Just like any other species, there's wiggle room. There are multiple ways to keep them. There's multiple recipes for substrate. There's multiple foods you can offer them that they do just fine on. So
Yes.
In my experience, the dart frog people have kept me away a little bit, like arm's length. So, because
Okay.
I don't want to have that. I don't want to deal with that on the show or in my life. I don't want people to dump on something that I'm proud of, you know?
It's hard because that's true, like you were saying, that's true in any facet of life. It's true in any hobby that we have. You know, somebody posted a picture of a gecko, and it was a pretty obscure picture, and I said it looks like it might be this. If it's not this, it's just the common, house gecko. And somebody came on and said, Wally, I'm so sad you didn't recognize this. It's really this gecko. And, you know, it felt kind of almost tacky, to me. And I'm sure
Yeah.
it wasn't meant that way, but it's easy to, jump on, feel like you're the expert, leave a comment and jump off and not, pay any of the back and forth conversation. I'm just going to throw my comments out there and, Facebook is that way. And I think that the problem there obviously is that we're losing a lot of experts and a lot of people that could share really good information, but it is what it is. I don't think it's ever going to change.
Yeah, I really enjoy when I hear from a certain expert, or you come to respect someone by seeing their facility or their herp room or whatever, because they put videos up and it's amazing, and you see them and you're like, I want to do what this person does, or I want to do that. One of the issues I was going to say that I run into as a keeper is I will find that I either spend all my money on the setup and then have no money left, so I want to fill it with cheap animals, or I spend all my money on the animal and then I can't afford to like set them up right away. So I think with these other setups that I've been planning forever, the big massive setups that I'm planning, I'm trying to budget it out. And like I want to get the one setup planted and set up with, start with the fish and set up the plants, the live plants and the vivarium part of it, and then get the animals. Like let everything grow in, let it get nice, get a couple of the species that are the bioactives, get that going, get it seasoned, as it were, and then put the emerald tree skinks in there.
Well, that's the right way to do it, though. That's the right way to take your time and let it grow and mature. And if a plant doesn't make it, then pull it out and put another one in and build up the enclosure for the animals. Then introduce the animals.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like a phase one. It's going to be like the Marvel universe of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 6, we get the actual reptiles that it was built for originally. So
I don't have the patience to make it to phase 3.
And that's fair. Like, how could you? I did see your new geckos that you put up when you got those two. One was a micro gecko and one was, and forgive me, I don't know the names of them. I really liked the micro gecko that had a little bit of blue in it. Is that them?
That's them.
So they're in a display setup. That's a display setup.
They're right there. See them?
I appreciate that you can't find where your finger's supposed to go on these either. So that makes me feel really good about myself. So what is in the fish tank? What is in the fish tank? Because that's a live planted tank, right?
Right there.
Yep.
It is not.
It's not a fish tank?
I tell you, if I do plants in my tanks, it's for one purpose. It's to give cover for the fish and to hopefully make them breed better or give a spawning area. Or I really don't plant out and the CO2 and all of that at all. I don't look for plants to balance. And here's a big plant for the background, and here's a smaller plant for the foreground. And if I do a fish tank like this one right here, it's pretty much, and this is a spare tank. I keep waiting to do it out. I want to do it with sand and mount it up and have feather fins. And I know Andrew's listening. One of the Lake Tanganyika feather fins I'd like to do in there. Big, probably about 6-inch, and have them breed in a tank like this. But right now it's spare and I'm just holding some fish.
Okay. So it's kind of a quarantine tank.
Yeah, plastic plants, some real plants. And I have the pump off, so there's not a whole lot of activity back there right now.
Okay, it looks good from here. So
we'll get there.
Let's see what we've got here. So speaking of Andrew, he wants to know your favorite orchid, favorite gecko, and favorite aquarium fish. I don't know any of these answers. I didn't know you kept orchids.
I do. I used to have an orchid room. And all the lights and everything. It was probably the size of our living room, and all set up with the wall and orchids hanging on the wall and everything. My favorite orchids would probably be either the lady slippers or the bulbophyllums, because they have such weird flowers, or the vampire, because they have such weird requirements. They have to be kept really super cool. One of those three. Okay, favorite geckos. I don't have a favorite gecko because my mind changes every 10 seconds. So in my top 5, I would probably put Picta, Phelsuma laticata, which is in this tank, but this is the Hawaiian blue version. Sorry, Picta laticata, Periodora androyensis, probably crusted geckos, and I can't even think of a number 5. And what was the other one? My favorite fish.
Your favorite fish. Your favorite fish.
One of the
fish.
I toss up between an apistogramma and one of the shell dwellers, Neolamprologus.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna be picking your brain for nano fish for I want to do a 55 filled with nano tank, or nano fish, nano shrimp, all that, nano everything.
Yes.
So yeah, and then I'm gonna put some of my crested newts in there to let them just do their thing, because fish are too fast for them, and so are shrimp, honestly. So they'll just be hand fed.
Nice.
So they can put down an amazing size worm, like a worm as long as them. They can put it down, no problem.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like blown away, and then they're still looking at you like, "You got any more of those? Because I could go for one of those."
But they won't catch the fish?
No, fish are way too fast. So these guys are the worst. First, what they do is they bump into their food first, and then they're like, "Oh," and then they like back off a half inch, and then they lunge with their mouth, and they even the stationary food that's like the bloodworms, the frozen bloodworms, they miss half the time. Like they don't get it, or it bounces off their face and their jaw shuts. The only success.
That's how I eat lasagna. I kind of, plate sitting there. Oh, it smells so good, and I bump into it. Oh, it's so good, and then I get half of it on my body. So,
well, Wally's from Wisconsin, you guys, so his lasagna is just a bowl of melted cheese. Like, it's good. It's good.
Ketchup. Ketchup.
I wasn't going there. I wasn't going that deep.
Noodles, yeah.
But yeah, I have the problem with the budget as a keeper. My budget is, I don't know if it's a balance, because the balance is I'm not buying as many animals, or I'm not housing as many animals, so that budget is split up, or it's focused. Whereas a collector is their budget is spread out more, right? So like these tubs. Oh, here's my high yellows. This tub again, $4. So whatever. No big deal. I could have 100 of those and 100 species. Now I could spend a lot of money on isopods for sure. This particular bin is just the results of wild caught population and selective breeding over the last 1.5 to 2 years. So I got some really funky stuff in that bin. What is this? I think I like trades. Well, hey, we can trade stuff. Let me know.
I've got
a buyer.
Baseball cards that I'm not really looking at anymore. I could trade those. What are we talking?
That was a good video too. When you compared baseball cards to geckos, that was pretty slick.
Thank you.
That was pretty slick.
Thank you very much. So I
like that it had nostalgia.
Speaking of the different ways that we keep things.
Yeah.
Let's say you set up your setup. Let's say you set up your enclosure, and it's an expensive isopod, and you get babies. And somebody comes over. You have 2 people that come over. One person looks at the enclosure and goes, "Oh my gosh, what an amazing enclosure. It looks perfect. This is so beautiful. All the life and everything going around." The other person says, "You got babies from this isopod? That isopod is so difficult." Which one do you think first?
Which one do I thank first? Oh my God.
Which one do you turn to? Oh, thank you very much for noticing that.
I think I would thank the person that notice the work that I put into the setup first, because if you have that right setup, you're gonna get babies. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you have that right setup for the animal, you're gonna get babies. So it's kind of a byproduct of having the right setup. I would thank them both profusely because they both speak to my keeping skills.
Yep.
But I honestly think when you have a difficult species like that, and even as a collector, like the setup that you have is a direct result of the success you're going to have breeding. So, like what's your difficult Porcelio? Like Expansus isn't really that's
This is
Bolivari.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so when you're getting Bolivari babies, you're doing something right. Like I've seen a big push, and I'm not disrespecting it because it's true, but I've seen a big push to like get rid of cork out of your enclosures because they don't serve a purpose as far as nutrition, but they definitely serve a purpose as far as a hide, and they don't hurt anything. So I think it's a weird hill to take a stand on.
Boy, I could go off on that just for another hour, but wow.
That said, like I respected that, and I have a box of bark that I collected myself. That it's got it's thick. It's like oak, the big hard bark that has the ridges on it. Basically, it came off of a big branch instead of the trunk. But I've got a big box of cork that I just got at an ARBC for. I got 2 of those bags that they had up front where you fill the bag for $20. I got 2 of those, and I searched through that bin for about an hour because I wanted nice humped, you know what I mean? Which I don't even think that's that important to get the hump on it, because they'll find a place on that cork to sit that they're comfortable in. So
absolutely.
Like my aficionados are usually on the top of it for some reason. I don't know why. They have the humped one because they're like one of my top 5, but they sit on the top of the cork, and as soon as I open it, poof, there's balls and they go rolling off. And the most timid isopod? That's a good question. Now you don't have a lot of people over, but do you get anyone downstairs that is like kind of blown away by your setup, or people on the videos that watch the videos that are like, oh my God? Because it's so organized. I will say, you are the king of spreadsheets. You're the spreadsheet father for sure. It's like seeing a living spreadsheet. It's seeing a living spreadsheet when I see your bins and your racks on videos. I can see the thought and the organization that went into it before it even got implemented.
So you're putting this enclosure together, and you're thinking about the substrate, and you're thinking about the branches, and you are thinking about the cork bark and the streams and the Masters of the Universe figurines that you're going to put into this enclosure. I'm just the absolute opposite. I'm thinking, what animals am I going to put in here? Okay, what are their needs? Okay, they need substrate. They need some hiding places. They need decaying wood. They need leaves. So I make the enclosure, put the animals in there, and then I monitor. But that enclosure then is pretty much the same with all of my enclosures. Obviously I have some differences in my types of enclosures. Some are sterilized, some are just because I've built this over time. But it's pretty much the same thing from one to the next. Some might have a little bit more ventilation, but I don't look at the means to the end being the enclosure. The means to the end are, the isopods and the babies. So
absolutely.
That's how I look at something. So my spreadsheets are more toward, the animals and what their needs are, and then balancing and determining what differences between the different species. It's not, I'm not looking at my facility and saying, oh, I'd really like a 80-gallon setup right there. And, I'm looking at the animals, and I'm working more toward getting results from the animal.
I will say that the big tanks that I own right now that are planned for these huge setups were literally free. So the tank was free, which tanks are so expensive right now.
Yes.
Like a 10-gallon is like $40 for some reason. With no frills, like the crappy incandescent lid, which I didn't even know they still made those. And that's it for $45 for a 10-gallon. Let me see. Hold on a second. Andrew is the king of questions tonight. What's your 5-year plan with isopods?
I don't know my 5-day plan with isopods.
Missed. Every 5 days. Missed.
I'll be honest. Right now, in the last month or two, it's hard because my focus is 100% on. It's not 100% on geckos, but my focus is on geckos right now, and because we just started the breeding season for isopods, I'm coming out of the winter and trying different things and trying different setups. My focus is so much on geckos and moving animals around, males to females, females to males. Making sure I have enough room for babies, getting my QR codes ready for my spreadsheets for breeding season. It's all focused on that. So my attention isn't really the isopods. So I have a plan in a spreadsheet, but that 5-year plan really is to continue moving forward with what we're doing right now and just getting really a lot better. I don't have a plan to, in 1 year or 2 years, start doing all of the cuberis, and in 5 years, be the master of the universe in isopods. It's just kind of pushing forward with what I'm doing well right now and just doing it better.
Master of the universe. Nice. I'm getting in your head. I'm such a He-Man fan. I'm the worst He-Man nerd ever. I have a Skeletor.
I was more of a Jetsons and the Flintstones and Hanna-Barbera and the banana splits, things like that, I guess.
Oh, the bananas. I'm trying to get a guy to sculpt them, 3D sculpt them so I can print them out and paint them, because the banana splits were some of the coolest characters ever. There was a horror movie about them. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Somebody got the costumes, the original costumes, or got the rights to remake them, and they made it like, as far as I know, the synopsis was like a Showbiz Pizza, where they had the animatronic guys doing the show, and it has been shut down forever, and it's like haunted or something, and the characters come off and murder people who go in there. So I need to get it. It looks hilarious. It looks really fun. But it's the banana splits. Like, it's those guys.
You ruined my childhood with that one comment right there. Now I'm going to have nightmares with the banana splits chasing me around. Or worse, I'm going to have nightmares of the banana splits chasing you around without the shirt, like you mentioned earlier in the show. So,
oh, God.
My night's
hey, buddy. What you doing there, sis? Oh, jeez. No, there's an ant on me. Probably looking for this isopod shell. I swear. I forgot how much I loved brown sugar just as an ingredient. Like, I totally.
Those just catching right now. Don't tell them that. Have another bite of the Supreme isopod chow.
So good. It is. I cheated. Pod chow variations together. In one bag. Because they keep the same, and I thought it would just give them variety right away.
I have found that if you take the Supreme isopod chow,
oh my God,
and if the taste isn't quite
what
you're liking,
what is in there?
Oh, that's good stuff. It's so good.
Bravo. You're getting a lot of love in the comments. Michael Bubbles is like, is this happening? Oh my God.
No.
Oh no, come on. We've got enough diabetes. Just so you know, for this show, Wally's been saving that Diet Coke. He got it when the president came through. The ex-president came through Wisconsin. Picked up a Diet Coke. So
cheers.
It's great. See? He's the king. Yeah, it's been a weird night. Yeah, I definitely respect the keeper part of it, especially when it comes to ants, or the collector part of it, because when it comes to ants, I wish now that I hadn't done this massive, crazy setup, because I've had more escapes than I thought. And so I opened a substrate bin to look and check it where my substrate was, because it's been sitting a year with those wood chips and everything. And the last time I checked it, I had a good fungus colony growing. I had actual mushrooms. And so I looked in it 3 days ago, and there had to be 500 or 600 ants in there from my colony that had been getting, I don't know if they got out slowly or if they were the last big explosion that got out. So I was spending the night picking them out one by one, two by two, putting them back in.
Well, I've seen 17. I've been counting. I've seen 17 fall on your hat tonight.
17. All right.
Yep.
This hat is made to stick to them. So in here is the like one of the sticky traps. So because I've had enough.
You had like little feeders or something like that in there for them.
It's more isopod chow. They love it. Actually, they're like repelled by it. So I have isopods in with them, and so I put it in a corner on an eggshell, and they go crazy. The isopods go and swarm it, and the ants won't go anywhere near that eggshell during that time.
Really? I wonder if it's the cinnamon. You think it's a cinnamon smell?
I don't know. Is there cinnamon in it?
Yeah.
I know Ants Canada just did a thing where he did natural repellents and natural killers of ants, like natural ways to kill them. And they were repelled by cinnamon. They wouldn't cross it. And then, because he made like a ring of it in a container, and they wouldn't cross the cinnamon. None of them would. And then the queen did. The queen did when he put a queen ant in there. And the only thing that killed it was diatomaceous earth. That was the only thing that actually killed it.
Yeah, that's pretty bad stuff. That's interesting. So I was a little bit, I've got chocolate on my finger.
Good.
I was worried with the cinnamon with the isopods, and that's why I did, I started using this 6 months before I released it to everybody, just to make sure everybody was eating it and there were no ill effects. I saw none, and I saw increased breeding. But anyways, I didn't want the cinnamon to be a deterrent to the isopods, because I knew that it could have some effects on some other bugs. And I've had that question many, many times. There's cinnamon in here. Are you sure you want cinnamon? It's a mold inhibitor, and that's why I put the cinnamon in. Yeah.
It doesn't affect the isopods at all. They don't care at all.
Not at all.
The springtails don't care at all.
Nope.
I don't know. It's just a deterrent for most, not even most, but some insects like ants. My theory is because ants won't walk on one of the barriers that ant keepers use is talcum powder mixed with alcohol, and they'll rub that around the rim of their container. The alcohol evaporates, but it leaves that powder. So it gets stuck in their little, whatever makes their toes sticky. I don't know the science of it, but it gets stuck in there and they fall. They don't like it. So cinnamon has the same consistency. And I think that's most of it. They weren't like, the ants in the video weren't repelled by it, but they wouldn't cross it. Like kept running into it and then going, nah, till eventually they just stayed in the middle. So it is I don't know that it's a thing, but they don't seem to care for it at all. Unless a cricket goes after it. Like I'll give them crickets, and if a cricket goes in there with the isopod chow, they don't care. They're in there. So because they go crazy for the crickets.
Very interesting.
Vika Bubble says my wife is a saint. She is not. We have recently sprayed upstairs in certain areas upstairs because some of the ants were kind of scouting, and I haven't seen a scout since then. And this is like a spray that kills on contact, so they can't bring it back to the nest or anything. And it stays localized. It's not like it goes through my house. It's not a bomb. Obviously, I can't bomb. And she doesn't come down here, to be fair. She doesn't come down here. So she knows I have them. I don't know if she's seen this part yet. So I don't know if she's even seen that. So, and I haven't been like, you got to check this out, because I know how that's going to go.
The link to this show and mark the 53:30 minute so that she can look at it.
Well, then let me just say I have a tarantula too.
Do you really?
She doesn't. Yeah, she's anti-tarantula. Yeah, she's out right now, actually. She's right here. That's Margot. So thanks to Rick. I wasn't going to get a tarantula ever again, and then Rick introduced me to his Arizona blonde, and it was amazing. So Rick is like, he walks the border between keeper and collector. And I think a lot of arachnid people do, because they have dozens and dozens of tarantulas, but they keep them because they're in these little tiny things, basically. So you can make it cool, but it's still, it doesn't take up your whole room to have 24 of these containers. So now Rick's containers do take up the whole room because he has dozens and dozens of them, but they're all kept kind of, in that borderline between keeper and collector. So, which I think is really cool. Like Martial Arachnid's kind of the same thing. He keeps all of his tarantulas in like a bioactive live plant. It's like his setup is crazy, but I didn't know this. He used to be a zookeeper, actually. He used to be a zookeeper. Wow. Yeah, and he would go out for when he was getting his degree, or afterwards he would go to jungles and stuff to do studies. So that's a whole different mindset, I think.
Is it that different than dart frogs?
Tarantulas?
Yeah.
I think so. I think that a lot of people, the first person I ever saw do this, and this was last year, was Marshall from Martial Arachnids. I want to say his first name is Kevin. I don't mean to disrespect him. I don't remember anyone's name ever. That's why I call you the Colonel all the time. No, I know Wally. I want to say it's Kevin Marshall, but great guy. He was on the show not long ago, and I wanted to talk to him because of this. So he's one of the only people I've ever seen that promotes keeping tarantulas the way that they're in the wild instead of just in a box, because they are very forgiving and they survive a lot of things. But to actually like see them thrive is a totally different situation. Like mine comes out to bask. They're nocturnal in the wild, but she'll come out to bask in the heat lamp. And the isopods around her, I have two Cubaris tanks under her, and the Vulgare kind of seem to like the ambient heat too. So it's definitely warmer in here. And that little heat lamp keeps it's just a little one on an arm, and it keeps that whole greenhouse probably 5 degrees warmer than it is in the rest of the basement when it's not unzipped. But yeah, tarantulas are another one that I think people are just getting into the point of. It's going to hit mainstream, I think, next year. I think it'll be mainstream to keep tarantulas more towards the like bioactive side of it. So at least bioactive, if not a full display kind of a setup. Because just to see some of the setups that people are coming up with for tarantulas, and a lot of people don't think of them as a setup like that because you never see them. But the argument is in these crazy enclosures, you do see them. They come out and they exhibit more natural behaviors. So you get to see them. And they're more like corpuscular. I think this is a new word for me, corpuscular. So they're at dusk and dawn is when they're active. So if you're watching after work or whatever, you'll see them do their behaviors.
So you're thinking that the tarantulas are more, box kind of animals. Keepers generally keep them more from a box standpoint, just kind of like isopods, whereas dart frogs are more showcase kind of display kind of animals. Or am I getting?
I think that's the mentality. No, I think that's I think tarantulas are traditionally on the collector side, and that makes sense because they're easy to keep. Again, they're like isopods. You could keep them in tubs and have some ventilation and be just fine, and they would live happy lives as long as they're fed and watered and their basic needs are cared for. Which on the one hand, I think is fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think, in my opinion, I think it's just neater. It may or may not be better for the animal. I mean, technically it's an insect. I don't think they have the intelligence or the capacity to be like, I really want a bromeliad in my enclosure rather than extra dirt to burrow in. I don't think they have that mindset where they appreciate it, but I do think you would see different behaviors and different like more natural behaviors, which I think is fascinating. But if you're doing like a straight breeding facility, or you just want to collect them because they are cool and there's so many different kinds, go for it. Like that, I don't have a problem with it. I just appreciate the keeper side more. And I think that dart frogs have almost always been on the keeper side. I don't know anyone that keeps them like a true collector. I think I see the people with like 30 exoterras all set up bioactive with live plants and waterfalls and a mist system and the most ridiculous crap ever. And that's awesome. But I don't think they fall into the collector side for the most part because of that. Like by the definition that we said at the beginning of the episode, I don't think they fall into that category because their keepers are partly insane. I think the dart frog people are a little bit insane about it.
Just a couple notches up.
Yeah, and I know there's great dark frog keepers out there that are supportive of new people and really take to the questions, but they are few and far between in my experience. I need to find that person still. So if you're a dark frog keeper and you're not a dick, send me an email because I want to hear from you. Because a lot of them that I have known are totally not a jerk. So yeah,
I'm going to
you
ask
know.
real quick from our viewers here.
Yeah.
How would you categorize yourself? And I know you have a bunch of other questions, but
Yeah.
how do our viewers categorize themselves? Are you all keepers or collectors?
Yeah, who's on the right side? Who's on which side? I know Biggs. I don't think Biggs is here anymore, but Biggs is definitely a keeper. Like you said, like he has what he recently did when he reset up his isopods blew me away. I was like, this is what I want to do with isopods. Like his setup and just the way he did his substrate when he went and harvested all the natural stuff and just like ground it all up and put it in the soil. And then you see the results he's getting. Like his tri-colors are insane. Okay, Brendan's a keeper collector, isopod hoarder.
I love the answers.
Keeper.
That's great. Frank the
Keeper
Tank
for reptiles.
Yep.
Both, maybe. I see a lot of both. I see a keeper of my other inverts. I got you. And I get the collector of isopods because their needs are so minimal. Even the ones that are hard to keep they're not hard to keep. Like it's hard to keep up with them sometimes, but I don't think they are hard to keep.
So being a collector, I'm going to keep watching the comments here because these are great comments. I'm a collector. So from a collector standpoint, I have the utmost respect and admiration for anybody that can devote a lot of their time to setting up one enclosure. Like I said earlier in my fish keeping days, lots and lots and lots of little tanks and fish and everything all over, plan. 2 inches, I've got to use that 2 inches. But to see some of the pictures and see some of the results from our European counterparts on fish keeping, it swayed me to understand and appreciate more, these beautiful, immaculate setups. I appreciate what you're doing. I really have a respect for taking your time and doing 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or however many, you have the resources to do. It's just not my mode of operation. However, I think that from the other side, you can understand what I'm doing too, from a collector standpoint.
100%.
Where I really have a hard time is I've started, on TikTok, I've started posting, and there's a great friend that does YouTube videos, but I'll call her a pet tuber. She's really super nice and everything, but she puts out, I'm going to be pretty blunt here. She puts out TikToks and she has the comments going, I keep my animals in plastic tubs. Nope. I do this. Nope. I do this. It gives a sense that people that do that are wrong and inhumane and not doing it the right way. And my comment would be then, where do you think 95% of all the animals come from? They're not, unless you're getting animals from the wild, they're coming from breeders, and they're coming from breeders that hopefully are setting up their enclosures the right way. Hopefully I'm doing that, but I just don't have 1 or 2 or 5 tanks that are just completely 100% dedicated to the enjoyment of the animals. It's more, to the health of the animals, and number 2, to the purpose of breeding.
Yeah, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. Like we're on kind of polar opposites, because when we talked about, we originally were going to do the reveals of the builds that everyone did, which I'm glad, because I'm glad we're not, because I'm not done yet. I totally slept on it and I had so much else going on, so I've been furiously trying to get it done. I did do a lot of painting on the main piece, the centerpiece, and I'm super excited about it because I did a great job. I sculpted the background, hand sculpted it, and then sealed it, and then painted it today. So yes, yeah, I know I'm making you tired, but at the same time, like
Just kidding.
I don't worry about your animals at all. I think your animals are being kept amazingly. I don't think that there's any issues, that there's no isopod in your collection that wakes up and goes, oh, this bin again? Like, what the hell? No, they're like, look at all these sweet ladies over here. What's girls? Let's play piggyback. Which, for a second, can we discuss how isopods breed? Every picture I've seen, every video I've seen, every time I've seen it, here's the female. Yeah, here's the female. There's her face. And here's the male. And you can see, like, the part I assume is their goods. Oh, wait. Oh, I forgot. Here we go.
Oh,
I got a dry
there you
erase
go.
board.
Okay, draw it
I
out.
forgot. So we got your female. Let me see if I can draw with this like this. So we got our female here.
For our viewers, the following content is mature audience only.
This is a really bad isopod. Okay. Here's her little.
Can I do the sound effects?
And then the male, I'm going to do it like, I can't do it. As a person who draws, I can't do it. Is like this, okay? And then you would think, I'm going to put a little sensor bar here. Oh, sorry, bud. There we go. I'm putting little sensor bars on these guys. Okay, you would think this is where her goods are, right? And this is where his goods are. This is one hung isopod right here. So, nary the twain shall meet. Like, how does that go down? No pun intended. How does that happen?
Can you, Josh, can you bring out your puppets and do the...
I don't have the puppets here. I don't have them right here. The isopod puppets are both right back here.
Completely for me. I need some, like a puppet. I need the next step up. So
is the California raisin. Can you see the California raisin here, Wally?
Oh my gosh.
I spent $30 on that. It doesn't have arms or legs. So
were the arms and legs more expensive? Were they additional?
No, they just weren't there. They were like originally they were just like plastic. With a little like rubber hand and a little rubber foot on the end, but it was like, literally like a flat plastic strip. So a lot of them don't have it. So anyway, I don't understand how they breed. I don't understand the mechanics of it unless, like, I didn't understand the mechanics of the millipedes either because their genitals are like here. So I thought they were trying to eat each other, and I kept pulling them apart the first 2 weeks I had them, and very rude. Very rude.
That's just cruel. That's so sad.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Her goods look a bit hairy. Yeah, Frank. Isopods, I don't supply mine with razors. So I just let them, they're au naturel. Back like the 70s. That's when I was raised, and never mind. We're gonna I still want to say it, but I'm not gonna.
We're digressing.
More chocolate syrup on there. Ugh. All right, this is starting to get to me a little bit. It's that weird spice.
I'll send you over some Chernobyl.
Is that an energy drink, I'm assuming?
It's something that actually Nanette made for me.
Oh.
I found the picture. I don't know what kind of energy drink this is. It's one of hers. So it's just I cut it out and she put it on there, and
so it's literally a prop. I thought it was a real
show.
I thought it was a real energy drink. Look at that, man. We're getting so much good guests on here.
Chernobyl, now available on the SupremeGecko page.
Frank, yes, it's a French isopod. Are there French isopods? Do we have? I know they're Spanish.
I don't know. I would imagine.
We in one of our chats the other night, we did one of our little Facebook chats that we used to do. Do you remember the rooms we used to do?
Yeah.
So we did one the other night, and it was me and I don't want to out anybody that was there because I'm about to say what we talked about. So we talked about someone posted in Isopod Keepers networking page or whatever. They posted that they thought it was ridiculous, some of the prices that these isopods are going for, the ones from Thailand, because it's cheaper to go there and collect them yourself and collect as many as you want because you're there. Instead of buying 6 for $900, it's cheaper to fly to Thailand and back. And so we were brainstorming like how to smuggle them, and we came up with some good ideas, honestly. And I don't want to say them because I don't want to recommend them to anyone, but it would be cheaper to fly to Thailand and probably stay there for a week because it's not expensive to stay in Thailand, and go out into the jungles and collect and get your shots before you go. But it would definitely be cheaper. If you could find a legal way to transport them back to the United States, please find a legal way.
The
Don't smuggle
problem
them.
there is you're pulling from the wild, number one. Number two, you get them over here, you don't know what they have. They're wild.
True.
Number three, every wild animal, if your purpose is to breed and propagate and then sell the babies, every wild animal is the chance of them breeding is about 10% of their F1 counterparts, their babies. So there's a lot of, gotchas going on with doing something like that. I think it'd be what a blast to go over there and see these isopods in the wild and the environment.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh.
That'd be so great. Yeah, but I think at some point everything came from the wild, right? At some point you could be that guy.
Yep.
Absolutely. I don't know. I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. And I think most of the ones that come over here have been put in a quarantine where they were in their country, and then they're quarantined here or wherever the distributor is, and then they're doled out to make sure that there's no or much less possibility of them having a parasite or a disease or the fungal thing that was hitting the orange springtails or red springtails for a little while. I don't know if that's still going on.
I don't know.
Did you hear about that or no?
No, I did not.
One of the big springtail guys got their springtails. I think it was the reds that had this crazy fungus on them, and they destroyed their colonies before it could get anywhere. But it was one of those crazy things. He had to reach out to everyone he sold to and be like, "Oh my God, I didn't know." But it gets pretty crazy.
Wow, how terrible!
Yeah. So, but that's a risk that you run. That's one of the risks that you run with these wild caught animals. Wild caught reptiles. You have 99% of them have parasites when they show up.
And my point really was not so much the dangers and the cost and the difficulties and everything. My point, which I really did a terrible job of explaining, is more the people that do that bring them over and breed them. Hats off to them, because they're charging $30 a piece for these isopods. That's because they've done all that work before, and they've brought them over and they've taken that risk. I can't tell you how many, and I don't advocate this whatsoever, not even a little bit, unless you really, really know what you're doing. I can't tell you how many wild geckos I've gone through to try to establish colonies to get, the F1s, the babies, so then I could breed the babies and then keep that line going. The difficulty is bringing them in as wild and going through that break-in period and the quarantine, and then the break-in, then trying to breed them. There's a lot of work behind all of that. So again, hats off to anybody that's doing that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they don't deserve to be that price, but some of them are, wow. And the people that are willing to pay it, like I definitely wish I had some of these species for sure. I look at them and go, wow, I want that in my collection. I just said collection. Oh no. I mean, I want to keep them. But I just can't afford it. I just can't afford it, hands down. Which, understandable. Then I just don't buy them. I'm not going to dump on people that do, or spend the money, or charge the money. We've had this talk before, I think. If people are willing to pay it, charge it. That's it. That's capitalism. That's how the market works.
And I'm going to pick on Andrew a little bit here.
Yeah.
He's asked for for me to do a video on pricing. Okay. Why, how do you come up with your prices? Wally, how do you come up with your prices for isopods? And I tell everybody, somebody will message me and say, how much is this crested gecko worth? I don't give up prices. I don't do prices. How much should I charge? I want to sell 100 powder blues, and I'm selling the individuals $1. Should I knock it down to 50 cents or 25 cents? I don't do prices. The reason is because there's so many other factors involved with pricing. But I'm going to do a video not specific to crusteds or isopods, but more of a general video on pricing, because there's so many factors in there. So is a $500 animal worth $500? It might be to one person, right?
Yeah. My issue comes in when you have, like I posted in IsoBuddies, that the Facebook page that I saw on. I'll check out eBay now and then to see what prices are like on eBay, because that's where I started my collecting. I started with Pod Solo on eBay, and then I went to you, and then I went to, I want to say the isopod chick, and then Pet Peas and Pods. I bounced all over the place. I tried to support all my friends basically, and it gets really, that part gets expensive because you're like, oh, I bought from this person last. Who's next? Oh, I gotta go back to Wally. Oh, and then this guy. And you're the worst because you got me Parasite. That was the one that you sent for free, and I had no idea they really existed. And that's probably my favorite in my collection right now. Honest to God, I love them.
I think my exact words were, "Psst, psst. Want to see some parakeet?
Would you like to buy it? Oh, I mean, I was like, what are these? And at first I was like, yeah, whatever. And the more I got to look at them and see them, like they're in my little desktop setup that I have that I watch every day. I watch them, and there's some orange koi scabers in there as well, and one magic potion. He invaded my ant colony, and I never put magic potions in there. So I was like, or actually, I'm sorry, they're orange Dalmatians. So I was like, here, you can live in here now. Because they invaded most of my bins, the orange Dalmatians, whatever they are, they invaded most of my bins. But where was I going? So okay, so zebras were on eBay. It was a 12 count. I want to say it was a 12 count of zebras for $65 plus shipping. Like there was a shipping charge too of like $18 or something. And I was like, I wanted to message a guy like, are you high? They were just zebras. For the record, guys, they were just zebras. The one in the picture had really nice stripes. It was probably a picture from Rachel Schindler Beach that was stolen from her website. To be fair, that's what people do. They steal her pictures. But it was zebras. It was just zebras. And I was blown away. But looking at it, I was like, I'm going to watch this. And 4 days later, someone paid for it. So
a conversation that I had recently with a guy at the Sewerfest show this last Sunday. We were talking, he's a big YouTuber, and he dabbles in a lot of stuff. And if anybody knows Gary Vanderchuk, he's worked with this guy. If you don't know him, look him up because the guy's a marketing genius. Anyways, we were talking, and I was asking him, well, where are you going? Well, young guy, 22 maybe. What he's done already in his life is just crazy. Anyways, what are you doing? Where are you going? What are you doing with the knowledge that you have? Well, I'm into tropical fish. I'm into isopods. I'm into geckos. I'm into this and I'm into that. But really, Wally, I'm a marketer. I really love marketing. And the funny thing is that I said the same thing. I love geckos. I love isopods. I love tropical fish. I love marketing as well. So when you talk about somebody selling zebras on eBay for $60, hold on. Okay, now I've got my marketing hat on. The guy's brilliant. The guy's brilliant because on eBay, somebody's going to jump on eBay and go, oh, those are really cool looking. I don't condone stealing pictures, but those are really cool isopods. $60. I want some of those for my. So if he sells one to my 3 that I'm selling for $20 a piece.
I mean, yeah.
Is it right or wrong? I don't think
if they show up in good shape, like when I got my stuff from Pod Solo, I'm going to keep reaching out to them. Like, I mean, Boots and I are friends now. Like, we're legit friends off of an eBay purchase. So I see Brittany Wetland is here. We just gave you a shout out, Brittany. So that's the iSpot chick, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. She will not come on my show. Everybody, pressure Brittany to come on the show because I want her on the show so bad because I love her selection. Brittany, I'm going to be in touch. I have one of your species that is slowly dying off, and I want to replenish, and because I love them. And I've never seen them anywhere else. Troglodylis, Troglodelphi, Porcellio, Trogla something. I can never remember their name, but they look like clown Porcellio. They look like Clue Guy, the markings, but they're Porcellio or Porcellio. They're just beautiful, and they're not that big. They're like the size of a lavis, maybe a large lavis.
You mentioned that you kind of spread the wealth in buying isopods when you started off.
I do.
didn't. I spent probably 90% of my isopod money at Brittany's table. So every show that we would do, I swear, she's so knowledgeable. She's such a nice person, and free sharing. I can't say enough good things about Brittany. She's just a wonderful, wonderful person. And
if you guys are looking for isopods, go to the isopodchick.com, and she has a great selection. She's always got crazy sales going on different species. And then like the ones that I always want, she's out of. So she's the only one that I've ever seen that had the species that are symbiotic with ants.
really?
They're basically dwarf whites. They look exactly like dwarf whites to me. And I have a good colony going in here. I have a fair colony. I see them all the time in the tunnels with the ants. So the ants literally feed them, and they keep the fungus and mold away.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's really, really cool. Trogdor, what? Trogdor burninatus. Yes, Green Jedi Monkey. It's the Trogdor burninatus is what else. Best comment today. You win. You win, Green Jedi Monkey. Yeah, there are some species though that I wish the price would come down, like Panda Kings. I don't think Panda Kings. I know people are paying it, but I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think they should be priced any more than zebras, because they breed like crazy. Like I'm already almost overrun, and I got them 6 months ago. I'm letting them do their thing because I have 5 red pandas in there now. I have 5 of those now, and I just saw them go for 900 for a 6 count, and I lost my mind.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so that's like $160 a bug. That's crazy.
That's nuts.
So I have them in mind.
And if you can be the first in line to do that, or the second, or the third, I don't know. Is it wrong to charge a higher price like that? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Is it wrong to sell pandas for $60 for a 12 count, where 80% of the other market is selling them for 30 or 40 for a 12? I don't know if you can get it. If you can, I don't know.
I think there's that too. 15 pandas for 30, Frank. I have not seen that price. I think that's amazing. I have that thing where I wish some of the prices were lower, but at the same time, like, breeders have bills to pay. You know, I totally understand certain breeders charging certain amounts. I totally get it. And if you're getting it, and in that case, I think you pay for quality. You pay for quality. You pay for you know where it's coming from. You know it's coming from a great breeder, someone who cares for their animals, and they're going to be healthy animals. Almost every animal I ever got from you came with Mankai in the, like, they gave birth on the trip over. So I never get a 12 count from Wally. I get like a 35 count and don't even know it. So I had to do that trick that you do where I put the whole cup goes in the bin because otherwise you're going to miss something.
You get 35 from me because I can't count. That
was the one.
5, 6, 7. Oh, they all dumped in there. Oh, I don't care. Just move it on. So.
That was the one setup with the powder blues. That was the only time that I had the surprise, the pinata box. Oh God, that one my wife almost killed me. Yeah, when you open a box of bugs that she doesn't want you to own in the first place and they're loose, yeah,
ouch.
No, she was mad. Yeah, and I think there are other invertebrates are very easy to keep in a collection style setting, and I think that that's fine. Like you have the roaches, you have the we just talked about the roaches last week that were the pet species. Super easy to keep, right? You don't have to have them in a display setup whatsoever, but you totally could.
You could, absolutely.
So, but like to go back to Rick, like his collection, he's got stick insects now, and they're literally in one of those big mesh bags, basically with the spring around it, like you would keep mantises in, hanging from the ceiling with leaves all in it, and they're happy as clams. They're breeding. There's nothing on the bottom at all except paper towels, and so then you just see the eggs there. It's genius. So
is that right or is that wrong?
I think it's fine. Their ventilation needs are met, their feeding is met, and everything they need is met. They're easy to water. They have a little bit of cover, like it's kind of like a haze between you and them. That's that nylon bag. So I feel like they're more comfortable. I feel like they're probably more comfortable because they don't see just people walking around all the time.
comfortable. That's interesting that you brought that word up. So we're talking about the needs of the animal, and I think a lot of people in the keeper, mentality will say the needs of the animal have to be met, but it also their enjoyment, enrichment, and everything, bigger enclosures, more decorations, more room to roam, things like that. But from a comfort standpoint, I can go just the opposite. A lot of people will say crusted geckos, babies, crusted geckos.
Yeah.
Keep them in small enclosures because they can't find the food. And I'll say just the opposite. They'll find the food, well, in nature. They'll find food in nature where it's wide open. That's not the point. You want to keep them in small enclosures because they're small, and lots of animals out there are big, and they don't feel comfortable in a big enclosure, wide open and susceptible to being seen and obviously eaten. So keep them in a small enclosure because they like that, comfort. And I'm right here. Nothing can get me right here. I'm in this confined area. So their needs and their comfort are kind of balanced with, food in front of them, misting or water dish, and a hide. And as long as you meet their temperature, their humidity, and their food and their water, small enclosure is cool because that's what they're comfortable with. But I think that goes against a lot of people's thoughts of big and roomy, and sometimes it's not that.
I don't think the keeper mentality, well, in my opinion, in my philosophy, the keeper mentality to me doesn't mean it has to be massive or you give them like free range kind of a thing. Like you said, I think that they feel comfortable because they're more secure in a smaller enclosure. They can see every part of their enclosure from where they're at and know there's not a predator or know there's not something coming after them. And they get that comfort. I think that's great. So if you're watching this, I don't think that those things go hand in hand. I don't think size is the answer. I think in this instance that I'm using for my setups, it's going to be awesome and it's going to work really, really well. But I'm not in the massive tank. It's going to be fish. Basically, it's going to be half filled with fish and then just live plants growing out at the top because I want that for me. I want that jungle aspect. And then the other one is going to be like a community paludarium. So if that makes sense. So I'm going to try to put as much cool stuff in there as I can that will coexist peacefully or as peacefully as possible.
And you're balancing all of that, and you're keeping a good humidity range, and you're meeting the temperature required. Yep, perfect.
My question now, of course, is keeping the temperature and the humidity right, because I don't think the emerald tree skinks need a lot of humidity. So I'm going to have to balance the ventilation there because having a 55-gallon tank as the water feature in your setup is going to add a lot of humidity to the tank. So it has to have good ventilation.
Yep.
But that's neither here nor there. But that's I hope I can get that done this year. But I've got a lot of other projects to do outside of my own house so I can keep myself. So improve my quality of life. And I think that's important too. Yeah, don't lose your mind over your animals, people. Don't go crazy. Don't get to the point unless it's your job, unless it's your full-time job and that's all you do, let that be your full-time job. But if you have a full-time job, a full screen top, I was going to do screen sides, Fico Bubbles. I was going to have some screen sides, like a panel on each side that's screen. And then the top may or may not be. It may be wood. The top may be wood, actually.
If you go with a screen top, you always have the option of adding acrylic sheets to that top to reduce the ventilation.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. You can just put the acrylic sheets on top of that screen. I'm doing that for some of my geckos, for some of the exoteras that have a screen top. I just have a cut piece of acrylic and I put it on top, and it holds in the humidity a little bit better.
That's great. And you could probably adjust it too, so where it's like 3/4 or 2/3 or whatever.
Yes. Yep.
Smart. My animals are my life, Victor.
I can see you shaking your head. I really can.
Yeah, what? Shaking my head like you can see me. Oh. I do the same thing on this show. I point. You see this on the screen? Are you looking right there? Yeah, because I'm not smart. I think I've proven that time and again. What was the question? We gotta probably wrap it up here because I don't know about you, but I've sleep to do. Unless you want to keep going, it's up to you. But
I'm yours right now. I'm 100% dedicated to you, buddy.
I'm a little sad there's no Nanette tonight, but I like that it's cozy. It's bro time.
I feel
who knows what this flag is? Who knows what this is? Put that in the comments if you're cool.
That's the flag of the state of Texas, right?
No. I wouldn't have it burned. I wouldn't have it burned on some kind of a free media. There is no, sir. No, that would not be on display.
It's not.
Unless it was legitimately from the Alamo or something. No. No.
And I just saw all of our Texas viewers just left.
They did. They're like, okay, it's been an hour and a half. We got to go.
Yeah.
Now you're keeping. I'm not even going to ask you how many bins you have, but you have in your collection, you have multiple feeders. You have a whole room for feeders, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you have, I'm trying to picture in my head the layout because I've seen the videos and I can't get a layout. I just see this crazy tunnel system in your basement. That's just corridors of geckos and one corridor of isopods and another corridor of different kinds of geckos, like the sticky geckos and the ground geckos. And it's amazing. So,
so start with this. Start with your vision.
Yeah.
Picture one of the last scenes in Silence of the Lambs. So in the dark in all the corridors and no, it's not like that.
Those moths, those death's head moths just flying around.
All right,
so let's picture.
Now I have that vision of the dance scene and the camera.
Oh God. Oh
my God.
I full disclosure.
Falling down the Go ahead.
Full disclosure, there's a picture of me like that on my phone somewhere that I've sent to people on purpose. So Wally's out. Hour and a half. It's the whole hard now.
Okay, we're gonna keep going down that path since we have. Does anybody watch Family Guy?
I have. I haven't watched it in a while.
Oh my God. Family Guy has a scene directly from that scene in Silence of the Lambs, and it's just mind-blowing.
Is it Peter? It's Peter, right?
Peter walks in on Chris while Chris is doing the whole scene. Oh my God. All right, let's talk about anything else. What were we talking about?
All right, so wait, who said it? Who said it? Victor. Yes, it is from Firefly. That's the brown coats, buddy. That's the brown coats. Independence. I'm a huge Firefly fan. So anybody out there, I have a little ship I need to build. It's just going to take me time. So here's what I picture in my head. You get in that seat that you need for the stairs because you're old. That takes you down, right? So that lets you at the bottom of the stairs. And then when you come back up, you have to fight the gremlins.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Another great scene from a movie when the gremlins hijacked that lady's chair, and all of a sudden her 2-story house had like 17 stories that it went up. Like it just kept going, and it was like, you've only got 3 stories in your house, or 2.5 maybe. She shoots out the window. Oh, what a great movie. Is Gremlins a Christmas movie or not? That's the debate.
If Die Hard is, I guess it is. I don't know because I didn't pay much attention in Gremlins because I just watched Phoebe Cates the whole time.
It was a great movie. It was a great movie. I'm a huge fan. So you come down the stairs, and what do we see first? When we get down the stairs, what's there? Because it's all animals, right? There's no like rec room down there.
I'll go back to probably about 10 years ago. Nanette used to do daycare downstairs. So it's divided into actually 2 rooms with a hallway in between the 2 rooms, a narrow, probably about a 12-foot hallway.
Okay.
So I'll call it the left daycare room is pretty much wide open with a bar area, a very small desk size bar that's no longer a bar. So I have along the walls, I have crusted geckos, gargoyles, crusted geckos, and then in the middle of this, I have a bank of 10, 15 gallons for geckos. And on one part of the wall, I have a wooden shelf with isopods, probably about 25 enclosures. Then I have two rolling baker's racks with 10, 4, 8, 12, 24, 35 enclosures. And then in the closet, I have a closet with about 30 more enclosures. And then in another closet, I have about 10. Another closet, I have another, I don't even know how many in there. And then in that long hallway, I have another probably 20. So if you can picture that, the daycare area, that's where all the isopods are. That's where my crusted gecko, most of my crusted geckos and gargoyles are. And just a bank of 10 tanks with geckos. And then going down that hallway, you now enter into the gecko area. And that room is separated into two equal size rooms. One has the sink. I'll call it the sink room. And in there, I have a bank of crusted geckos and another bank of crusted geckos, and then a bank of 10 gallon tanks with all kinds of geckos in there. And then I have 3 racks of 19 quarts where I keep all of my baby crusted geckos and baby gargoyle geckos. So that's the sink room. And then you can enter into the leopard gecko room. In the leopard gecko room, I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think 9 racks. One of the racks is a big Australian gecko rack. Another rack is for picta. I have a wire rack holding babies and smaller cave geckos, things like that. Then I have racks with leopard geckos and a couple of racks for picta.
Okay.
Does that make any sense at all? Lots of
I
racks.
kind of have a layout. I kind of have a spreadsheet in my head of your area now.
Just think of the 2 rooms, the daycare room and the sink / leopard gecko room. The leopard gecko room is totally enclosed with plastic and a door, and to keep
so you can just keep humidity up in that whole room then.
More the heat than humidity, but yes.
Ah, genius. Now, how many leopard geckos are actually in that room?
30.
Because you said you were out of leopard geckos. You were getting out of it.
I was not doing the hobby as much as I was before. So I always have a love for leopard geckos, but I scaled way back. I think one year we were breeding and we produced probably 500 or 600 baby leopard geckos. And last year we probably produced a dozen just because I didn't really try to breed a lot of them. So this year we're going to breed a little bit more, but not, it's going to be very controlled, very controlled.
Like a Bubbles lost count of your racks or your enclosures at 95. I'm sure that's low. I'm sure that's like the second hallway is at least 95.
I think I have 800 enclosures.
Is that the last estimate?
That's the last estimate.
And that's not including fish tanks for your fish that you're doing again now.
Nope.
Okay. All right. Wow. Secretly breeding thousands of leopard geckos. That's in the sub basement. That's the leopard geckos.
Yeah. That's in the Silence of the Lambs basement.
Oh my God. Now I just picture this well in the basement that just says leopard geckos. Yeah, but it's all organized is the thing that drives me crazy.
Now. I wish I could find that song to just kind of play it in the background now.
Oh God. That was one of the creepiest scenes in any movie ever.
Any movie.
Yeah, we were having a discussion of any other actor to play Buffalo Bill, and I can't. But somebody mentioned Willem Dafoe, and I don't even think it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked. So, yeah, Wally's Gecko Army is my new band name. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Wally's Gecko Army. Now we need to make up some tracks for you. The first album's The Podfather. Revenge of the Podfather.
And that's a rap song.
Nice. See, I'm just fascinated by that. I'm fascinated by having that whole area devoted. I think I have too many hobbies. I could never devote that much time to one thing or one like, I don't want to say livestock, but like collecting animals. Like that's such a focus, even though yours is really spread out. Like you've got so many different things going on with your breeding and your animals. So
the hard part is though that I see videos, I see interviews from some of the people that I've known for a while in the hobby that are doing it the right way. They've rebuilt their rooms and they have temperature controlled, humidity controlled rooms where they have their animals in a room all devoted to that temperature humidity range. Mine are scattered all over the place in 15s and 10s and 12 by 12 by 18s and you name it, 20 highs, 20 extra highs, 56 quart plastic tubs. It's just no consistency whatsoever. So it takes me a little bit longer to work through feeding the animals and cleaning because it's not consistent. So, it's fun and I'm blessed, every day to be able to work with these animals, but I can certainly go down there and say, gosh, I wish I could do it all over again and start over and do it more consistently.
And with the organization that you have, I think it's remarkable that you're always looking for that extra little oomph, because I know you could think of a million ways to kind of streamline your operation. So because it always with that many, with that number of animals and that many number of enclosures, like I watched your one video of crested geckos in like a breeding facility, and you had all the tanks set up with the water dish or whatever was here, and each tank had the water dish like exactly in the same space, and they had their little food cup in exactly the same space, and their little mealworm cup or whatever was, and that's so you just automate basically in your mind, right? You're just like boom, 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 boom. So
you see that and you go, oh, that's really cool how everything's, and I'll go downstairs and see the whole facility and go, gosh, what am I thinking doing it? My African geckos over here, and I like you said earlier, I can see a million different things to change in the room simply because I'm seeing it every single day, and I make mental notes. I really need to get to that. I need to change that.
I'm looking like the dew is kicking my stomach's walls. I kind of have to stop it because I won't be able to sleep. It's not that it's gross, because it isn't. It just gives you a weird. If you want to enjoy Mountain Dew and feel like you're coming down with strep throat at the same time, this is the flavor for you. This is definitely the flavor for you. So strep throat in a bottle. Yes. Liquid Walmart. That's exactly. I'm going to stick to that. So Mountain Dew, if you're listening, you need a new spokesman. I'm your guy. Walmart. Yeah. We'll do those commercials for you too, Walmart. Yeah, I just think it's great because I stole that from you with my isopods. Is I made sure that I reorganized when I did their, when you redo their bins and you reset the soil and all of that, the substrate. I put all my kind of my hides are set up the same. My moist side, I have it kind of mostly in a corner, kind of like here we go. There we go. There's our isopod genitals again. So if you have the bin, like, I did not mean to click that. That was so here's my moist quarter. Oh, quarter? Shasta. This is hard to do. All right. There's like my moist quarter. And then I have, well, consider that other line like one of the logs that goes across. So like this, because you always have it crossed over so they can choose. And then I have one on the dry side that I use. Usually it's a piece of wood and or a big piece of the charcoal, a big chunk of the charcoal. That I also got the thing from you where I'm out in the yard driving over the bag with my car to break it up. The big lump charcoal.
These things.
Cause man, I studied you. When I started this. So once I got into it, I studied the Wally Kern, the SupremeGecko. Yeah, I'm like a student or a Padawan, basically. So, and then that charcoal is what I feed on. I feed on that because it resists the mold too. So it's hard for the mold to grow on that. So, and they seem to enjoy it. I don't know why. They're always on the charcoal. There's always a good amount of them on that big chunk. Did Andrew have to leave too? All right, get some sleep, Andrew. He never sleeps. I don't know why he's got to go. But I think if you can streamline your collection or your keeper situation, streamline it. There are a few that I have that are different, but streamline it. Otherwise, it becomes a burden, and then the animals are the ones that suffer when it becomes a burden to you and you're putting it off or you're procrastinating, right?
And you had mentioned earlier Chris Biggs, who was, I don't know if Chris is in the show anymore, but yeah, his video with the bins, how he has them all laid out and everything is brilliant. And again, if I could do it all over again, I would do exactly what he's doing. You get to the point where, you know, you just can't, from a financial standpoint and from a resource standpoint, just redo everything. Well, I have 150 bins or whatever I have. Where do I put 150 more? Because I don't want to get rid of the old bins until I know that all the ice, it just becomes such a, you know, chasing your tail kind of situation.
What did I put up here? Okay. Yep. Now I need to put this one up here to make everyone uncomfortable with the word moist. Not cool.
Okay.
Not
so
cool.
I have a question to ask you. And
Go ahead.
yeah, I've used the term moist area in just about every video that I do for isopods. I've never even
Yes, you have.
thought about it. Is that bad? Is that a bad term?
Moist is a word that bothers a lot of people, particularly women. I have my assumptions of why that is, but it bothers a lot of women that I know. I don't know many guys that it bothers. Like, it's just a skeevy word, I think. I use it like you. I use it as a how to define something or a descriptive. It's not like I'm trying to be a creep or I'm trying to like make somebody uncomfortable. But yeah, Victor's wife hates it. Moist is a moist word. I like hydration station better. Yeah.
I have, all seriousness, I have never ever thought about that until recently. Somebody kind of moist area, ha 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 ha, and I don't get it. And but if it bothers some people, then I'll just stop using it. And because I want, you know, my videos to be more for the whole family, and there's no intention whatsoever to do anything like that. So
I don't think it's a dirty word. I don't think it's a dirty word by any means. I don't think it's considered a dirty word. I just think it's a word, for whatever reason, it makes people uncomfortable. And again, I've never gotten a definition on it. But in my experience, it's mostly women and or young ladies. It's mostly females that have an issue with it. So, and like I said, I've never asked them to define it.
So 503 with the moist, it just kind of is a weird, okay, I get it. We'll move on.
Yeah. We'll move on. We'll move on from that topic. So thanks for that, Green Jetted Monkey. What were the other tips? What were the other tips I wanted to ask you about? Besides isopod chow, now I have to say in my bins, for aesthetic's sake, I hate piles of leaves or leaves just strewn about. So I try to crush them and mix them into the soil because they're going to dig anyway. And I've been using wet leaves lately. I've been using wet leaves, which stinks and it's messy. But I saw something on that somebody was doing that recently, and it made total sense to me that that's how they would experience them in the wild. And I know the leaves we give them get wet, but I think it helps break it down for them. What are your thoughts on that?
Unfortunately, with the isopod hobby being so new, and you said, you know, something earlier about me with so much experience, I've been doing it for so long or whatever. I haven't been doing it for that long. The hobby isn't that old.
Yeah.
In my mind, we're still all learning. But unfortunately, I think that, and you had mentioned earlier too, and no offense at all, and this is just how it goes. You had mentioned, you know, pulling away from the cork bark and putting natural so that they can consume it. And, you know, a lot of the isopods sit on rocks. And bricks. So if you treat the cork bark as a nutritional factor in your enclosure, then that's not correct, because, you know, on the back of all of my bags, not on this one because this is frosted flakes, but
I wish I would have thought of that. This brown sugar's got me all like,
yeah, I bet. So on the back of every single one of my bags, I don't say, "Oh, SupremeGecko's the isopod chow's the boss." I say, "Make sure you feed." You probably have it on the back of your bag. It says,
I think so.
What's the very first couple of words that it says?
Let me see. This bag got washed, so it might not say it really well. Leaves and decayed wood should be your primary food. Feed Supreme isopod chow dry at least one time per week.
So leaves and decaying wood. So the whole cork bark thing is, if you're trying to feed your isopods cork bark, that's wrong, and that's out there everywhere. That's out there everywhere. But don't not include cork bark because it's not, it doesn't have any, nutritional value. I use cork bark as a hide because isopods hide under logs and things like that. But
yeah,
if you look at my videos and look at my enclosure, I always say put the leaves in, put a piece of decaying wood in there too. So they have a choice between decaying leaves, because decaying leaves take longer to decay. But the flaky wood, I mean, they're eating that. I can see them. I can see the wood going down, almost on a weekly basis. So
yeah, I need to get out and get more.
Yeah. To your point about wet leaves, here's another thing. I think people see that and they just jump on it. And I don't think it's bad that you have, wet leaves, but don't take your enclosure and take all the dry leaves out and throw, wet leaves in there if you want to make a little pile.
Oh, no. Yeah, no.
Give your animals choices. Give your animals gradients. Give your animals the ability to go from here to here. If they're not comfortable here, then they can go over here. If they're not going to eat this, then they can eat this. That's my thought on that.
So my thing, my substrate, I know everybody's got their own recipe. If I buy it from you or you gave me some, thank you to Kyle Bunch, who gave me a bag of his. I'm about to use it in this 10-gallon tank behind me. I don't care what you say you put in your substrate. I'm crushing leaves and I'm mixing it into your substrate. It's going to get damp. Those leaves are going to get damp. They're going to get eaten while the isopods burrow. It's a food source that's there. And it gives them that choice. Like, oh, hey, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to nibble on this instead. I just think it's a good thing. Like, in case maybe, God forbid, you miss a week or you have to take a vacation or whatever, they're set up. They're ready to go as long as they stay moist. There it is again. As long as they stay moist, at some point, you're going to come back to healthy colonies that are happy. And they have the leaves on top. I do have dry leaves on top. I just, I remember your videos too, where your biggest tip was more leaves. Like, you can almost never have enough. So, and I agree with that. But at the same time, like, aesthetically, I kind of hate it because it just is like, oh, there's a pile of leaves. And it's hard to do checks at that point because they're in the leaves. But I do have my leaves under my hides. Basically, I put my hides on top of the leaves, more or less. But they're there. They're there for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, and I like to crush them up because it gives me more chance to see everything going on in the tub. So
I like to do both. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Last summer, I bought a leaf crusher thing. It's a blade that goes around and it crushes leaves, because right now I have about 30 big black bags of leaves sitting in our garage. And I've gone through probably 15 or 20 of those already this year from the fall. So last summer, though, I had a bunch of bags and I started crushing them down. And now it's just like leaf sawdust or leaf dust or whatever. And I like that. I like that because it's more compact and I can throw that in there. But I don't like the fact that it doesn't give more hiding places and more options for the animals. So now what I do is I take that dried or the crushed leaf dust and I put that in, and I'll actually mix it in with the soil too. And then I'll put the leaves on top of that. I like the idea of putting the leaves in the soil. And I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't do that, because number one, like you were saying, if you forget, but More importantly, I think that extends the life of your substrate. Oh my gosh, I haven't changed the substrate in 6 months. Now it's 7 months. Now it's 8 months.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if you have extra material in there that's breaking down, it just extends the life of that substrate.
I have such a hard time changing the substrate because I know I'm putting manka in the garbage bin, basically. You know what I mean? Like in your substrate dump bin. And I don't want that potpourri bin. I'll leave it for a month and tend to it like it's a real bin, and then pull everything that grows. And sometimes that's fun, and sometimes that just becomes my menagerie bin. 503 shout out. That just becomes my potpourri bin. That's just got whatever I had in there. And then you see kind of you see like a Lord of the Flies situation to see who gets to survive in that situation. But the spoiler alert, it's Dilatatus. I don't know if you know that, but it's Dilatatus. So they always win.
Always. Or dwarf whites, one of the two.
Or which one?
Dwarf whites.
I heard that they're hell on manka, and they can really do damage to your actual bins.
Yes. I've had zebras. I had a zebra colony thriving in a 27 quart. I bet you there were 1,000 in there.
Okay.
And this is when I started off and really had them going real well, and started selling them a lot. And I developed, or there were dwarf whites in there for some reason, and it just stopped producing, just like within the month. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it was because of the dwarf whites. So I made another culture with the zebras, and they took off again. But that culture with the dwarf whites just completely stopped.
That's such a shame. I think it's a mixed bag where they team up on the mankai, or they just use up all the resources that the mankai would use.
Agreed.
So unless you're dumping food in there on a regular basis, which you're probably not, and then you're just increasing the waste, it's just a hassle. So dwarf whites, I don't even know if I have any anymore. I know that for sure they're in my, because I took the bin that I used with my dwarf whites. I had very little stuff in there yet. It was very neglected because I didn't care if I had them or not. That's in my little display bowl. So there are dwarf whites. There are the other guys, the Parasay, the orange koi are in there. And I'm seeing mankai from just about everybody. But the dwarf whites, I thought I'd see them a lot more, and I don't. They're just stay underground. So I have those lawn shrimp in there. Those
very cool.
They're really cool, but you don't ever see them. Never, ever, ever. They're very photosensitive. They're like fleas. They move like fleas. So they just like kick and right underground. So if you do unearth them, they're gone. And that's a display. That's a definitely display, but that one is really high maintenance because it's open top. And so the water, the plant roots keep it in. There is some moisture there all the time, but I've really got to kind of keep on top of that moisture and keep it a gradient.
Can you put some wetter material in there and put bark over the top of it to keep some of that moisture in? Or put kind of I know, for keeping geckos, we have hides, plastic hides. So I'll use those for cave geckos, which need high humidity. So I'll put, sphagnum moss down, and I'll make sure that it's really wet, and then I'll put the hide right on top of the sphagnum moss to hold the moisture in that area.
What I did for this, and this is a bowl setup, guys, I'm going to feature this on Thursday, is I built it with a false bottom of just light gravel, like really small gravel, because I didn't want to have anything burrow into it and get drowned. And then my dirt's on top of that. I don't generally use like a barrier between my false bottom and my dirt. So eventually it'll become less of a false bottom, but I wanted that moisture to seep up into the soil layers. So, and then it's about half full. It's like it's a dome, basically. It's a globe. Okay. And so then I've got my dirt, my substrate mix, and it's more geared toward plants with the leaves mixed in. So it's more geared toward plants. And in there, okay, so just on top of the gravel, is coco coir. So that's going to absorb and distribute through capillary action that moisture and keep the dirt from getting in there into the substrate or the false bottom. And then on top of all the dirt, I have the plants planted, and then there's a fern and there's an African violet, which neither of them are doing very well. So I don't have a green thumb. But on top of all the dirt is my leaves and then bark almost all the way around. So that's keeping moisture in, and then they have there's cork, there's the natural bark, there's bark from different kinds of trees in there, so they have a different gradient and a different texture for them to go on.
Perfect.
So I really tried to think of like cheat codes, so it was less maintenance and it wasn't a constant thing. But I don't know if you do this. I do the finger test. I go, oh, okay, that's still damp. We're good. Oh, there's still a little dirt sticking to my finger when I pull it out. They're good. They're good.
You know what I will do? And, you know, it's not as easy in the setup like you're talking about with an aquarium or a bigger enclosure. But with a 6-quart or a 12-quart, this probably sounds dumb, but I'll kind of look underneath. And I kind of know, you know, how much should be damp and how much should be dry. And if that damp area has, you know, condensed down to just a little bitty area, then I'll add if the sphagnum moss is not lightly wet, then this is a struggle. If the sphagnum moss isn't slightly damp, I'll pour more water in there, and certainly beforehand I'll take a look underneath to make sure that, you know, the right amount of substrate is wet.
And you pour water rather than spray. I saw that too, so that's a pro tip. I still spray because of laziness. And I bought the spray bottle. I'm going to use it. I'm not just going to use it on my crested gecko, my one cresty. So I bought the 2-gallon jug. I'm going to use the 2-gallon jug. But I spray against the glass or the plastic, so it goes down in. It's not just like, I mean, I give them a little mist, but it's mostly just sprayed against the one corner. So, man, this guy just keeps typing moist. Beautiful. So, and that's a good, there's a lot of crossover between keeper and collector. I think there's a lot of crossover. If you're keeping your animals correctly, there's going to be a lot of crossover. I really like to, I'll take this chair and I'll turn it around and just kind of have a bin in my lap and watch them for a little while in a different, with my bins. So I'll watch them and take a look. Because I just like to see the little dumb things they do. Because after a couple of minutes, they forget you're there and they just do their thing, you know?
That's interesting. That's an interesting statement. So we're talking about keeper and collector. I feel obviously like I'm setting everything up for breeding and everything. From a watching for an enjoyment standpoint with the geckos, I do very little of that. Does that sound really horrendously bad? Now,
no, I mean, you have 1,000 of them, and it seems like in your videos, like you're used to all of their behaviors and you know what to expect from each of your species, at least. So I don't know that it's bad. I think this is my opinion of you from watching your videos and knowing you as a person. Your enjoyment comes from successfully breeding and more from educating people on the animals than literally, this is going to sound really weird, but literally more enjoyment from that than the actual animals themselves.
Yes. And when I say that, and you said the key word there, behavior, that doesn't mean that, you know, feed, clean, next. I'll occasionally, like the micro geckos are one of the key animals that I have downstairs, because feed. Oh my gosh, look at those micro geckos. They're coming out. They weren't coming out before. That's really odd. They're feeling more comfortable. I'm doing this tank differently because I have more plants in this tank than I do over there where they don't come out as much. So and just like you said, it's awkward to say this, but I'm not watching them for an enjoyment, but I'm watching them from a behavior standpoint. And I'm watching to see, why are they doing that? Why are they up on top of, why are they up on top of the tank where normally they're down below? There's got to be a reason why they're moving up. Is it, the warmth? Is it humidity? So I'm watching them a lot for behavior, some of the animals more than others. Having said that, you mentioned that you like to sit with a container on your lap. You just like to watch the animals and just enjoy. So I just lost my light. So, however, I'll turn and I'll watch the fish tanks and I'll watch the behavior of the fish and how they're interacting and things like that. So that's where I get a lot of my enjoyment out of. It's watching, the fish for me.
I like to watch. I have a 10-gallon right here. It's a little community, kind of a starter tank for the big tank I want to do. But it's not all nano. But anyway, I'll watch those guys because there's a lot going on in there. I've got Cory Cats and White Clouds, and there's one female beta who's gorgeous. I'm shocked at the female betas that are coming out of the hobby right now. They're at least as good looking as males. And Rick is keeping a community tank of them. He's got like 5. They look like koi or galaxy, whatever the style is that they're doing now. So they're multicolored splotches. Oh my gosh.
I lost all my light.
Are they going off on timers, or is it are we burning out bulbs?
It's odd. No, they're rechargeable. So I have lost the length of the battery. I mean, it's like super dark, isn't it?
It is. So we'll cut it short. Short. So because we're on to fish now, we're talking about everything. So last question. Now you're losing your camera. Last question. This is for everybody who's still watching. There's still 11 people here. We've had them for 2 hours and 10 minutes. That speaks to how great this was. I'm really excited for this episode. I had a great time so far.
Me too.
All right, I already gave you a heads up on this because I wanted your opinion and I wanted you to have time to think about it. So, what type of Pokemon? I know you play Pokemon Go, or did.
I do.
Do you think would be the most delicious Pokemon?
I have thought 0% on this at all. So we'll go out. We'll go out somewhere to dinner, or we'll go out in the car, and I'll turn on Pokemon Go. So I don't play it at the house. I just don't have to. But when I'm out, I'm playing Pokemon Go, and I'm getting all the stops, and I'm trying to catch, Pikachu.
Yes.
So the most delicious Pokemon, it has to be probably Jigglypuff. I can just see Jigglypuff being this, fluffy cotton candy. Don't you think?
I imagine it being made out of marshmallow, like a peep.
Jigglypuff.
I imagine Jigglypuff as a peep.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of this Pokemon, but it's a lobster. And I don't know any of their names. I rename all of mine something inappropriate. So you'll have to bear with me. It's a lobster, and I think it would be delicious. It's got one giant claw. And I think that oh, there it is. Where'd it go? Clawitizer. Clawitzer. It is, yeah, it is. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it is a, nope. Can you see my giant white screen? That's him there.
Oh my gosh.
So that's his claw. That's not even his body.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Oh, now we're on to something else. That's his baby form. But I think, who else? Anybody else thinking about this? This doesn't cross anyone else's mind. What's the most delicious Pokemon? Jigglypuff tastes like pork belly. That's Green Jedi Monkey. Where's Frank?
What?
Vic. What did Vic say? I definitely wouldn't eat Snorlax. He'd be super fatty. He would definitely be super fatty. Absolutely. Bulbasaur is vegetarian. Magikarp. Oh, I don't eat regular carp.
Come on. Not even
trash fish.
I've heard smoked Magikarp is good. I would never try that.
Slowbro. Slowbro would probably be delicious.
Maybe.
Is that the one with the crab or the clam on his butt?
That's another one. That's King Bro, something King something.
Slow King or
something like that. So who can sing the Jigglypuff song? Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff.
I'm sad that Pokemon Go didn't get any of their other voices in there except Pikachu.
Yeah.
I know it'd probably take up way too much space or whatever. Slow King, that was his name.
Okay, there you go.
Don would eat Charizard. Victor's into steak. Taurus,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Taurus would be great. Buffalo and beef mix.
Gutter Grouper. I'm glad my lights are out so nobody knows that this is me saying all this stuff.
You're like in witness protection program.
Yeah.
And then, so what happened then is we robbed the bank. Gutter Grouper, Dumpster Dolphin. So that was our last question, guys. I hope you had fun, Wally. I hope you had fun.
I had a blast.
Ah, good, good. I had a great time. I haven't laughed that hard, as hard as I did, is when you pulled out that chocolate syrup. That I almost died. That was amazing. That I was not expecting chocolate syrup on there. So yeah, we tricked you guys. Don't eat your isopod chow. It's not bad for you, but it doesn't taste good. I'm going to tell you, as someone who actually ate it, I did actually eat it that time. I swear to you.
And I not having never eaten it myself, I can neither confirm nor deny that fact.
I was waiting for it to be like the cinnamon challenge where I just coughed it all out, but it was that dry, but it wasn't that like sharp, right? Yeah, I had a great time. So I hope everybody else had a great time. If you feel like being generous, go buy Wally a coffee. Go to his page, buy him a coffee. So support what he does. If you're feeling more generous, go to my Patreon and put some money into it, and I'll buy weird stuff to eat on the show. That's literally where I put the money this week, was into eating stuff. So that vegetarian jerky is stupid expensive. Just, it's like $7 for that little bag that I took one bite of. The dairy cows didn't touch it in a week. They didn't touch it. I swear to you. So teriyaki vegan jerky, don't feed it to your pods. They won't care. Yeah, that's all I got for you. So go support each other. Go out and buy some isopods from a friend, or make a friend by buying isopods. And hopefully we'll see you guys at some of the shows.
If Josh, if you get 2 additional supporters by the next show that you do, I'll come back on and I'll say the M word 3 times.
Shoot, you'll say it on your own show 3 times before then. So that's no promise. So that's hollow promise right there. Chernoblitz, or whatever the hell that stuff was called. Chernobyl. All right. I got to check that movie out. So we got a lot of movie hype. So go watch those movies, guys, and watch your Marvel movies because they're still good. And I will talk to you later. Everybody else is going to buy this Springtail Chow, apparently, so they're going to check it out. So have a good night. Thanks again, Wally. Love you guys. Love my audience. I love Wally's audience. Thanks for coming. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.